Good morning, students. Hope all of you are fine. As we were discussing theme 7 of part 2, and name of this theme is an imperial capital Vijaynagara. So beta, in previous lecture we discussed about the discovery of Hampi, the rise, Nayaks and Sultan. With that we discussed that how there was a relation between the kings and traders, right? So beta, today we will discuss the topic the apogee and the decline of the empire. Beta, apogee means the highest point of or peak of an empire, when any empire is at a highest level, and how this empire declined. Beta, we are talking about the Vijaynagara Empire. Beta, here in this politics of Vijaynagara, the claimants to power, they included the members of the ruling lineage as well as the military commander. It means there were two claimants, the members of ruling lineage and military commanders, and the first dynasty known as the Sangama dynasty, it exercised control over this empire till 1485, and after that Saluva's military commanders, they remained in power till 1503, and afterward they were replaced by the Tuluvas, and Krishan Dev Rai, he belonged to the Tuluva dynasty. Krishan Dev Rai's rule was characterized by expansion and consolidation. It means at that time he just expanded his territories and he consolidated all the territories with. Then it was the time when the land between the Tungbhadra and Krishna river, and it was known as Raichur Doab. Beta, earlier also I told you the fertile area between two river, that is known as Doab. So Krishan Dev Rai, he acquired this Raichur Doab and he suppressed the ruler of Odisha, and severe defeats were put on the Sultan of Bijapur. It means at that time Krishan Dev Rai, he conquered this area of Raichur Doab, Odisha as well as the Bijapur. At that time, but as we know, जैसे हमें पता है बेटा, if the territories are conquered by wars, so every time there is a threat. So that is why the kingdom always under a military preparedness. Krishan Dev Rai, he has credited with the building some fine temples. बेटा, जो कृष्ण देव राय थे उन्होंने बहुत magnificent temples को construct किया, and even he add गोपुरम्स होता है बेटा, एक large pyramidal tower होता है. अगर आप साउथ के टेम्पल्स में देखेंगे, इट इज़ द स्पेसिफिकेशन ऑफ दोज टेम्पल्स कि आपको ना ऊपर पॉइंटेड वो मिलता है पिरामिड, दैट इज नोन एज द गोपुरम. सो ही कृष्ण देव राय, ही एडेड दिस गोपुरम to the important South Indian temples, and even he founded suburban township near Vijaynagara, and name of that township was Nagalpuram, and this was named after his mother. So जो भी हमें डिस्क्रिप्शंस मिलते हैं बेटा विजयनगर के, दैट इज आफ्टर दिस टाइम. आफ्टरवर्ड Beta, then the pressure began after the death of Krishan Dev Rai. He died in 1529. Then his successors, they were troubled by rebellious Nayaks or military chief. As मैंने आपको पहले भी बताया था बेटा, जो military commanders थे, they were known as the Nayaks. So now after his death, they created trouble. And by 1542, control at the center had shifted to another ruling lineage. That was the Aravidu. Earlier Tuluva dynasty was there, now it is shifted to Aravidu dynasty, and they remained in power till the end of 17th century. And even at that time, the rulers of Vijaynagara, they just resulted in shifting alignments, and this led to the alliances of the sultanates against Vijaynagara. In 1565, Rama Rai, the chief minister of Vijaynagara, led the army into battle of Rakshasi Tangri, and it was also known as the Talikota. Beta, in our history, the war of Talikota is very famous, where his forces were routed by the combined armies of Bijapur, Ahmednagar and Golconda. And as you know that these were the combined armies, so it is offshore कि कौन जीता होगा. So these armies, they sacked the city of Vijaynagara. बेटा जो they just destructed the city of Vijaynagara, and the city was totally abandoned within a few years. Now the focus of the empire that was shifted to the east, where the Aravidu dynasty ruled. Now beta, as the armies of the Sultan, they were responsible for the destruction of the city of Vijaynagara. So beta, that is why so many differences were there between the Vijaynagara empire and the Sultan. Like now Sultan of Bijapur, he just intervened to resolve succession disputes in Vijayanagara. As हमने क्या पढ़ा कि जो there was the succession disputes in Vijayanagara. So that is why now this Sultan, they started interfering in this. Now it was now what Rama Rai did, he just played a game. He just issued a adventurous policy and he play off one sultan against another. Means जो सुल्तान से उन्होंने उनको आपस में ही लड़ाई करवा दी, and that led the sultan to combine together and decisively defeat him. Then all these sultan, they came together and they defeated Rama Rai. So beta, this way under Krishan Dev Rai, this dynasty just came to its highest point or peak, and then it declined at the end of the 17th century. So this was the topic. This was the topic about the apogee and the decline of the empire. Now beta, the next topic is about the rise and the Nayaks. Beta, rise, it was the royal patronage, and Nayaks, they were the military commanders. So the next topic is related to this, about the Nayaks and rise. Beta, now who exercised power in the empire? They were military chiefs. बेटा जो किसी भी टेरिटरी को होल्ड कैसे किया जाता है? Who hold all these territories? By the power of military. Even military controlled forts and had armed supporters. And beta, these chiefs often moved from one area to another. As you know, हमने पहले के टाइम में देखा है जो ये military chief थे, they just continuously moving from one place to another, and here also the same thing was followed, and they were accompanied by the peasants looking for fertile land. जैसे हमें पता है at that time बेटा shifting cultivation was practiced. So these chiefs, they were known as Nayaks, and usually they spoke Telugu or Kannada. And many Nayaks or these military commanders, they submitted to the authority of the kings of Vijaynagara. But still they often rebelled also for the different purposes, and they were suppressed by the military action of Vijayanagara empire. Now you know that there was one very important system, and that was known as the Amar Nayak system. It was the major political innovation of the Vijayanagara empire, and its system was just similar to the Ikta system of Delhi Sultanate. आपने Ikta system के बारे में पढ़ा था बेटा under Sultanate period. उसमें क्या होता था बेटा? The territories, they were divided in Iktas. उसको small parts में divide कर दिया जाता था, and every Ikta, it was controlled by a person, and that was known as Iktadar. और बेटा जो पर्टिकुलर एरिया होता था उसके जो भी रिवेन्यू होते थे दैट वाज कलेक्टेड बाय दैट इक्तदार. तो दिस वाज द सिस्टम अंडर दिल्ली सल्तनत. और जो ये अमर नायक सिस्टम है, इट वाज आल्सो द सेम लाइक इक्ता सिस्टम ऑफ दिल्ली सल्तनत. एंड दिस अमर नायक, दे वर द मिलिट्री कमांडर्स हु वर गिवन टेरिटरीज टू गवर्न बाय द राइज. जो राइज थे they were the ruling elites, and they given territories to these military commanders, and they were known as the Amar Nayaks. Now these Amar Nayak, they collected taxes and other dues from the peasants, craftsperson and traders in the area. Because they were collecting the revenue, so they were responsible फॉर द मेंटेनिंग ऑफ हॉर्सेज एंड एलिफेंट्स. और जो ये अमर नायक होते थे बेटा, ये एक मिलिट्री, एक आर्मी फोर्स को मेंटेन करके रखते थे, एंड दे जस्ट केप्ट सम रिवेन्यू फॉर देयर पर्सनल यूज ऑल्सो. और वेन एवर द विजयनगर एम्पायर नीडेड, दिस फोर्स वॉज सेंट फॉर द हेल्प ऑफ विजयनगर. सो बेटा this way, these contingents or these army forces, they provided Vijayanagar kings with an effective fighting force by which the entire southern peninsula came under the Vijayanagar empire. And beta, some of the revenue was also used for the maintenance of temples and irrigation works, means social welfare also, on religious purposes also some of the revenue was spent. The Amar Nayak sent tribute to the king annually. बेटा अब जो ये revenue collect करते थे, its fixed part, it was sent as a tribute to the royal court also, and the kings occasionally asserted their control over them by transferring them from one place to another. It means transfer system भी था. Sometime these Amar Nayaks, they were shifted from one territory to another territory. So during this 17th century, many of these Nayaks established independent kingdoms. बेटा जो ये system होता है, that one territory is completely under a military commander, and they were maintaining a army also, and they had the right to collect all the revenue also. So beta, this created independent kingdom, because whenever the ruling elite it died, after that these small kingdoms, they came into existence. So this way, this created the collapse of the central imperial structure, because now this Vijayanagar empire, it was divided in small kingdoms. So this way beta, today in today's topic we discuss about the apogee and decline of the empire, and with that we also discuss the rise and the Nayaks, that how these both they exercise their control over the Vijayanagar. Hope all of you have understood the topic. Thank you and have a nice day.